How you doing, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to This and That. I am your host, Xander, where we're talking about this, that, and everything in between. Uh, we're jumping in here in another one of these late nights, test piloting some of the later hours. We did say that once we level off that we're going to be doing 10 Eastern, 9 Central, 6 Pacific. But today we're an hour and a half. Well, we're an hour after that. We're rocking it at like 11 o'clock Eastern right now, trying to see what's going on with the internet situation. It looks like it's pretty stable right now. So I'm trying to get a feel for around about what time we're gonna be teeing things off. Make sure that you guys like and subscribe. We had a wonderful show yesterday. Want to get a special shout out to a few of the fans that came through, like Joe. He had some pretty interesting law information he wanted to try to challenge on a conversation about Michelle Obama's heightened position of social justice versus how a woman of high value can benefit a man of value to become more successful to the magnitude of being the president, the way Michelle helped out Obama, and all of the traits that a woman of high value would carry, including the cooperation trait that we don't see in most of the women that are still available in the dating pool in 2024. So today is a members only show. Make sure that you like and subscribe if I haven't told you already. And our member show only show is open to the public for now. We have some questions and comments that are coming through. I want to make a special shout out before we get started to some of those. Max Opposer, who was here yesterday, as a matter of fact, talking on the topics. We also had Reese Martinez and Ruderus, Liberty Twitcher, Omni81. I want to give another shout out to Light Blue, Red Void, Silly Emma, some of the guys that are following us on Twitch, and those of you that are also following us on Twitter. Make sure that you guys hit the follow button if you're watching us on Twitch or Twitter. And the rest of you guys that are watching us on YouTube, you guys have the opportunity to give us a special special thanks, special emojis, or the new gift jewel things that are happening right now that YouTube are highly combating against TikTok, which, by the way, before we get underway on today's show, it has been confirmed that TikTok is officially banned out of the United States airways. So come around January 19th, between the 19th and the 29th, if China is not a US-based company, ByteDance will be banned from US airways, and the remaining 10 states that have not yet banned TikTok will also experience that ban from TikTok, where your live stream content will not be seen. You'll be wondering why you're not getting any fans. That is going to be why. Now, understandably, because it is a offshore platform, there is a possibility that you could still access the platform from America, where you might be able to still upload podcast content from your American location, but your traffic is going to be heavily skewed because they recognize that it's going to offset 170 million American viewers. So those of you with an American-based platform that is trying to drive traffic to your American-based platform, you're going to have a little bit more trouble utilizing TikTok to do so. Might want to start looking into clappers. I think there's a couple of, I think ABVG or something like that was another one that is also springing up. Not necessarily direct competitors with, but, hey, as they become more popular, they will have other alternatives to combat YouTube. But in the meantime, wherever, if you're not getting it from like Instagram, Facebook, Snapchat, you're probably going to get it from YouTube. YouTube is the leading source of social media entertainment right now. So make sure that you take a look at that coming soon, because in the next 30 days, because today is the 8th. So on the January 19th, which would be like 31, 32 days from now, that's going to be the end of TikTok. So make sure that you guys prepare for that. We got some people jumping in real quick. What's good? What's good? My family and I really enjoy your channel and appreciate what you do for the platform. Hey, I really appreciate you guys coming to the platform. I try my best to give you guys every quantity of information that I can get, because everything down to turning your family into a business and then hiring your kids as employees, and then instead of them getting an allowance money for, being good, they actually get payroll for helping out, which actually takes stress off your plate as a family, which also teaches your kids responsibility, and then also works your way into showing them how to run a business. You're able to write off the things that y'all do as a family as a business expense. There's a lot of things that I teach you guys on this platform, including how to treat each other, because learning how to respect yourself enough to demand respect from the people in your family, whether it's your wife, whether it's your brother and sister, your in-laws, the grandparents or whatever, you will be living a better lifestyle. Even if you don't get a chance to improve your income, you're able to improve the way that you live. That's one of the main goals of this channel, is to encourage people to not only make better choices with themselves, hold themselves to a higher standard of expectations, and then weed out the people that don't respect them. Only keep the people that respect and value you into your life. And you give people the opportunity to change and improve, yes, but at the very most, you are expecting people to treat you the way you treat them if they don't treat you better than you treat them, because that is one of the core foundations for most religious beliefs, is to treat thy neighbor as we would expect thy neighbor to treat us. So why are we allowing people to walk on us and mistreat us, and then we're expected as men especially to pay out heavy dividends for their presence? That's unacceptable. And then also on the podcast, we teach you guys about being able to invest in different places and put your money where your money can make money for you, which makes it a lot easier for you guys to be able to have a better future going forward. No matter what age you start investing, the more money you have at the later years, whether it's 5 or 10 years down the line, the more money you have. If you take the investment money that you put up and you keep reinvesting the investment money, and then every time you get a little bit more money, you throw that money also into your investment money, over time, you're going to have larger dividends in case of an emergency, in case of a unexpected sick month. Like I had a friend of mine who just got shingles in the face, for all places, been out of work for almost 2 months. You got to understand that you don't expect stuff like this to happen. And if you don't have a backup plan, you're living from paycheck to paycheck. You're not going to be able to borrow money from every friend that you know, when all the friends that you have in your network are borrowing money from you. So my boy, he fell out with shingles for 2 months. He hadn't been able to work for 2 months. How does he hold down a standard of living if he doesn't have a financial backup plan? These are the things that we have to think about. You have to rob Peter to pay Paul. Some of your bills go undone. Some of your bills get charged off. Then you have to maintain your rent because you don't know what else you're going to do. So then you lose out on your car insurance, your phone bill. You start really going under. You can't really lean on too many people for a whole standard of living, especially if you live in states like California and Florida, where the standard of living is between $4,000 and $8,000 a month. You're not going to be able to borrow $8,000 from some of your friends to hold you down until you can get back on your feet. So you got to be able to take, instead of just putting it into a savings account as a rainy day fund, you need to invest it into a stock or a bond or a CD or a Bitcoin that's putting out daily, weekly, monthly dividends, so that you've got money coming to you. And if in the event that you need some extra money, you've got money being deposited to you. You don't have to pull it out and take penalties. They're already issuing you capital. That way you don't have to worry about penalties. Then you take what they give you and subsidize your income. That's one of the biggest things that I try to tell you guys, because that in and of itself gives you a better way to go, because instead of wondering where your money's going to come from and borrowing from a check cashing place or a payday loan place, you know that your stock option going to pay you on the 15th. You just got to push your bills back to the 17th. Let the money clear the bank, and then you can go ahead and make it do what it do. These are the things that I try to tell you guys about working your money around. Then you're not having arguments in your relationships about money. Then your relationships ain't falling apart because your wife don't agree with you. And I'm going to tell you right now, most relationships, the women argue with the men about money. The men don't argue with the women about money, because if the man don't got enough money, the man tells the woman he ain't got it. If the woman don't got enough money, she start fussing and cussing and telling the man that he ain't shit because he ain't bring it. That's not okay. You don't want to be in a relationship where you don't got enough money going around, especially if your wife is putting money in, because that's very rare to see. But if she's putting money in and there still ain't enough money going around, you don't want to be in that type of relationship, because she's going to get up and leave because you cost her more than what she was spending by herself. So you got to make sure that you got to have yourself a backup plan. And that's what I try to teach you guys. I try to teach you guys a lot of things. Uplift yourselves, self-reflection. You got to be able to look back. Today is going to be the questions and comments on the show for the day. We're going to be dealing with questions and comments from fans, and out of the questions and comments that come through, we're going to be sitting here talking about sometimes the close-minded shallowness of some people, but then we're going to be talking about some realistic stuff, because it's not all relationship topics here. We talk about this, that, and everything in between. Yesterday we talked about some law stuff. Time and time again, we talk about business, because we're creeping into a capitalist platform. The folks that are taking over the country in January after the inauguration, they are running things. And they are running things where if you don't make the money to cover the stuff that you need, you're just not going to get it, because the U.S. government's not going to give it to you no more. Everything that was being given to you is now being subsidized to a privatized company. Health insurance, everything, loans, all of it. You're not going to be able to get issued free money from the government, or free benefits, because they might still give you the stimulus checks, because the stimulus checks stimulate the economy, because people who get stimulus checks spend more money. That's about it. Beyond that, you're not going to really see too much of anything else coming your way. And some of the stuff that used to come free because you kind of qualified based on your pay scale, yeah, they're cutting all that stuff off. So if you're not willing to make money for you so that you got extra money to cover the stuff that you can't afford to cover, you're not going to be getting those benefits much longer. And that's something that you just got to deal with. So I appreciate you, Nibbler. I appreciate you for saying what you said about, hey, it's good to have you here. I'll make sure that I add you to the list of those that like the it's a funny name that you got there, but for those of you that definitely follow the show on a regular basis, I put you guys onto the list. I really appreciate y'all coming through. So back to the main. So let's go ahead and dive into some of these questions and comments, because today we're going to have a doozy. Make sure that you guys like and subscribe, and also know the same way Max and Reggie has done before, you guys can donate to the podcast and show us some support so that we can get a better podcast produced for you, because one of the things that I tell you guys time and time again before we get started is that T-Mobile Fiber is going to be giving us better quality internet service where we can do the 4K high definition. There's so many things I can do with better quality internet service, but it's going to cost double what I'm paying right now for the internet service, not to mention all the other services that I have to utilize behind the scenes to give you the better quality clips like Opus Clip and vidIQ and StreamYard, where we're streaming, where I can bring multiple platforms together for all of us to have an open forum, open-minded, open mic conversation. And with that, before I start that button, I want y'all to know that if y'all click the mic or click the link, I say that every time. If you click the link in the comment section, approve the mic, approve the camera, we bring you onto the show in real time, and you guys can say what you got to say as long as it's appropriate. We want to make sure that you're over the age of 18 if you come up onto the show in real time. Everyone else, we really appreciate you guys coming, and you can stay in the comment section and we can have appropriate conversation. If it gets too inappropriate, I'm probably going to have to do something about you in the conversations. But if you keep the conversations reasonably appropriate, I do allow some shenanigans. But again, you got to keep it clean, because this is a respectable podcast for the lack of saying. But as y'all roll in, let's go ahead and take a look at some of these comments.
I just need to see if I was wrong for blocking this guy. To make a long story short, I'm a 32-year-old chill introvert who loves my me time. My routine usually involves sleeping, going to work, coming home, relaxing, watching movies, or reading. I'm not saying I wouldn't enjoy going on dates. If I were in a relationship, I absolutely would. In fact, I even plan to start solo traveling around the world next year. But for now, I'm content with my quiet, drama-free lifestyle. Anyway, I matched with a guy on a dating app. The moment he told me he was from another country, I felt I might have made a mistake. Not to sound prejudiced, but in my experience, foreign men can often be pushy and blunt. I didn't want to date someone like that because I value my autonomy and don't want anyone trying to change me. Still, I decided to give him a chance. As we got to know each other, I told him about my chill lifestyle, and that's when things went south. He started saying I'm lazy, and that in a relationship, you can't just relax or sleep all the time. You have to compromise and do what your partner wants. He even compared me to women in his country, saying they work hard and aren't lazy like me. Then he asked, since you love sleeping and laying down so much, how do you expect to be a wife and raise children? You can't do that lying around. That was already a red flag, but then he got pushier. He insisted that we have a phone call every night, get on Zoom, and even said he needed to come over to my house to cook me food from his country. I woke up this morning to text from him, saying things like, you better not be laying down, you should be working to live. At that point, I decided to block him. I want to date someone who appreciates my relaxed nature and understands that in your 30s, you don't have to constantly be out and about to prove you're not lazy. I want a partner who doesn't try to control or change me, and I don't like being told what to do. Was I wrong to block him?
Yeah, you was wrong. What's wrong with you? So you don't really want a man. That's what you're saying. You don't want a man because first off, as you said, you don't want to be told what to do. That's your biggest problem here. The man is right. You in your 30s are not willing to be wife material because there is stuff that women have to do to cater to their families, to make sure that their families survive. There's stuff that men have to do in their 40s, 50s, and 60s that have to be done so that the husband can cater to the family. The husband provides the resources to the families more often than not. The women provide the effort into the relationship, into the family, in order for the family to survive. So how would you feel if the shoe was on the other foot and the husband didn't really feel like spending no money on nothing? Or he didn't feel like going to work to make no money. He would just kind of like lay around the house and just play his Xbox all day long. You'd be mad as hell about that because bills ain't getting paid. You're going to have to go get you a second job so that you can afford to pay for him. He's not going to look after the kids. The babysitter going to look after the kids, but you got to pay for the babysitter. You would be mad. You would say, oh, no, that man ain't worth it. Well, you got a man telling you a woman that wants to be a wife has to behave like a wife. You have a relaxed nature. That's lazy, ma'am. That's what that is. That's straight up lazy. You it's okay to take a break. It's okay to wind down. It's okay to take you a nap. The older we get, the more we hurt, the more injuries we have, some of us, especially if we burn in the candles at both ends. But you have to realize that there is absolutely no way that you can say that you want to be a wife and you're too relaxed to cater to your future husband. Now, when you choose a man, you choose a man. You're not choosing him based on his characteristics. You're choosing him based on his income. Since you're choosing him based on his income, you're not actually trying to find a leader. You're trying to find a paymaster. You're not trying to find somebody who's going to take care of you the way you're going to take care of him. You're just trying to find somebody who will enhance your standard of living, whether he takes over your financial responsibilities or he just gives you a life of entertainment while you take care of your own financial responsibilities. Either way, you're not looking for a true companion or partner when you don't want to be led by the man that you are choosing, because that's what you do in a positive, healthy relationship is you select the kind of man that you want to lead the way. So if he's saying, hey, you got a little bit more downtime than you should be able to be a little bit more proactive, find more things to do. You got that much time off, make us take up baking. Your husband's going to cook for you. You should be able to bake for him. That way y'all can make dinner together in the kitchen. I've said this multiple times before. The quickest way to a man's heart is through his stomach, because men starve themselves to death working for you. So doesn't it make sense that if you don't know how to cook, that you learn? And TV dinners and taking frozen foods and popping them into the microwave isn't really cooking. It's just heating stuff up. And yeah, that might go a certain quantity of waste, because men would prefer for you to heat up something so that they can have something warm go into their stomach than for them to be starving or just trying to fast off of cold foods. But at the same time, if you got that much downtime to be relaxed, you can Google. This is different from before 2009. Before 2009, you didn't know what to cook. You had to get your recipes from your grandma and your mama and them. You understand? Nowadays, you don't got to have nobody in your family that know how to cook, and you can literally Google it online, get recipes, go to the grocery store, buy the ingredients, bring it back to the house, follow the instructions, and you can put together just about any meal that anybody has ever made. And if you follow the recipes ratio distribution, you don't have to make a little small plate, a little bitty small plate of food. You can make large proportions of it, because if you're doing it to scale, if you're doing it for a serving of 10 instead of a serving of 1, you just multiply all of the ingredients by 10 and evenly distribute it amongst the dish. Either way it goes, you can do something simple for your partner. You can do something simple to increase your availability to your partner by taking care of some of your responsibilities ahead of time. There's a lot of things that you can do to be productive, even on your chill, relaxed time. A lot of stuff that we got going on is handled on the computer. You have your auto pay set up. You could be advanced paying on bills. You could be um looking into stocks and bonds and investments. You could be doing a lot of things. When's the last time you checked up on your LLC? When's the last time you checked up on your C corporation? There's so many things that oh so you see next show, hold on y'all. So one of the comments came in about the retention. Well, the vigor of men depreciates after 30 years old, and we have said on the show that you got to try to stay on top of that. So another thing that women can do while you're, ma'am, holding on your me time, your chill time, your lazy time, you could be focusing on doing things to increase your man's vigor. So buying foods and making things that can increase a man's testosterone levels so that the man has the ability to have more energy, because the battery source for a man is his testosterone levels. Let's just look at it like that, y'all. So it's not just what he can do in the bedroom, it's how long he can last on his job. He, like the Energizer Bunny, if you give a man a boost in testosterone, you actually recharge that man, and he's able to get out there and put in more work so that he can get out there and make some more money. Think about it like that. You got more stuff to be done around the house. Lawnmowers need to be fixed so that the grass can be cut. You got gutters need to be gutted, especially after all those hurricanes in Florida. You have roofs that need to be swept off. Damage need to be repaired. Fences need to be fixed and painted. Houses need to be painted, sometimes annually, sometimes a little bit more than that. You're looking at so many things that can be done, that needs to be done, that should be done. And if the man ain't got enough energy to do it, it isn't going to get done, especially if you want to be lazy. So the fact is that if you're putting extra effort into your man, then you need to be able to make sure that he can get up and get done the stuff that you're not doing, which requires a little bit of effort. And that little bit of effort to refuel and rejuvenate your man actually makes your man want to get out there and do the stuff that you're not doing, because you're doing stuff to give him the energy to get out there and go get it done. So when it comes down to the retention that you're asking for, TGODO, I'm going to tell you right now, truth is, you need to pay attention to the retention. So wasting it on self-gratification, not good for you, because it doesn't replenish itself as freely. And in addition to that, you have to recognize that as you get older and as your levels deplete, you're going to be dealing with more fatigue. You're going to start feeling more tired. You'll still get up and move around, but you're going to be groggy. You're going to be like worn out. You're going to start having symptoms of uh, you're going to wake up out of bed with symptoms of you've worked a full day at work without actually having to work a full day at work. You'll find yourself sleeping a whole lot more to rejuvenate those levels of testosterone. Once you get your levels of free testosterone back up to a normal base, you'll find yourself awake more often. But you also understand that your serotonin and dopamine levels are going to be thrown off. So keep in mind that if you take better care of your personal health, keep your hormones in check, your balance. And this is one of the reasons why we're supposed to be going to the doctor. If we have reasonably affordable health insurance, you go to the doctor, you make sure that your hormones are properly balanced, make sure that the proper nutrient balances are there, regular quantity of iron and magnesium, then you'll come to find yourself to be way more healthier. I was actually telling you guys about the Atlas nutrients that were being sold on Amazon. You need to go back and check those out, because those, I don't even have the empty bottles anymore. Those gummies that they have will give you testosterone boosters that will help you with your vigor, so that you will have the ability to retain more. Because I know when you were thinking about retention, you were thinking about edging. Nah, that's not what it's about. It's about not releasing and leaving it in your body until absolutely necessary, so that you have the ability to maintain more energy and have the ability to get out there and get more stuff done. That's what that was about. But let's go ahead and carry on, because we got quite a few comments coming up today.
Call me a help hopeless romantic at 24 years old, but every girl I meet or make friends, I instantly fall in love. Then I make a move and get rejected. I honestly do not know why I am like this. How can I improve?
Well, since you are highly attracted to each woman that you decide to go somewhere with, I would say the first thing that you do is you show some restraint to yourself. Because it doesn't matter if you're chasing a girl too hard, you're going to look thirsty, and if you look thirsty, that's a turn off for her. Because desperation, women don't like desperate men. Unfortunately, most men are in some way, shape, or form desperate, because men are looking for that emotional companionship, that physical connection, and women are just looking for money. So it is hard. Now, not all of them, because the older women that are reaching or passing menopause are looking for that companionship, because they've already retired out of the game after 900,000 miles on the track. Now they want to retire out the game and then call themselves a brand new car and say they deserve the best, which is the furthest thing from the truth, because you are 5 steps away from a salvage vehicle and the value is exceptionally low, especially when you behave like the last woman who says that you don't really want to be told what to do. You kind of just want to exist and be accepted for who you are and how you behave right now, instead of you changing your behavior patterns to become the type of woman that a man would want. You want to find a man that will accept you where you don't have to improve. That's not going to be beneficial for you at middle ages. But for the sake of your question, sir, is that the women that you're, first of all, you have to pay attention to the kind of women that you're looking at. Second of all, a lot of women are noticing that men aren't making the first move anymore. If we're going to waste all of our time, money, and effort in taking you out somewhere, then we're going to leave it up to you to show us that you actually value, appreciate us, and respect us. Now, what I'm going to say for you, sir, is if they're not showing you the fact that they respect you and value you and appreciate you, you shouldn't carry it past the conversation. You shouldn't carry it to the first date. You shouldn't take women out on the first date and waste your money on that, because if you take the women out there wasting your money on that, you're going to be in a situation where you're going to be broke as hell, and they're enjoying your entertainment, because you're going to be going to clubs and they're getting a free trip to the club, they getting free cover, they're getting free drinks, you're not getting free nothing. And what can a woman do to reciprocate for the good night on the town? Women are going to say that it's customary to not sleep with the man on the first date, where they're not going to cook for you, they're not going to bring you nothing nice, they're not going to get you a nice Rolex watch or nothing like that because you took them out on a date. They're not going to put gas in your car. They're not going to buy you Taco Bell on the way home. So they're not going to really do anything. They're going to show up. You're going to impress them, and then after See, you see how Philip is in. He already knows what's going on. You're wasting your money on them. You're entertaining them. You're wowing them. And if you spend enough money on them, impressing them enough, then they'll be willing for you to take them out on the town again. If you take them out on the town 3, 4, 5 times, they enjoy each one of the times that you take them out. They might let you sleep with them, but you're looking at a couple hundred, few $100 a date. You're looking at several dates a month, upward of $1,000 a month. I just finished telling you guys not too long ago about how you could put $200 at a time into a checking account and get 5% interest on each one of those checking accounts. And you would be making more money off of the money you didn't spend on her than what you make off of spending money on her. Then on top of that, I just finished telling y'all about some REITs that are out there right now, high interest, stock options, monthly dividend paying stock options with $1,000 you would have wasted on this date for a woman that you don't even know that you like yet. You're just attracted to her physically. You're getting to know her to see if you like her attitude and personality. You're spending all this money to rent her for the time it takes for you to say, I actually do like her, more than just wanting to have sex with her. And the fact is that all of that money you could have put into that 18% REIT, and you would have been off of $1,000. You would have been drawing back like $180 a month. So why are we wasting all this money on a woman that we have not committed to? The same way women are sitting over here talking about something they shouldn't have to do X, Y, and Z until they get married. Well, look, truthfully, in Dubai, the men only give allowances to their wives. So if you're not a wife, I shouldn't be paying for you. So really, why aren't the women paying for the man's attention so that she can impress the man, so that the man can say, okay, this is the woman that I want to financially invest in, and then have the man start spending money? You notice that that's the kind of behavior that you see in the Philippines, Vietnam, Japan. You know what I'm saying? You don't see it here in America. And then think about this. She's not just going on one date, because y'all not in a committed relationship yet. She's going on multiple dates, bro. So she's going on a date with you. She's going on a date with some other people. She might not be interested in you. You might not be her type, but because you're paying and you're taking her to a place that she might want to go to and it's no expense to her, she gonna go. She's gonna go, but she's going for the event. She's not going for you. She's not going for your character. She's not going for your personality. Because if she really liked you, bro, look, and that's why Philip said you're getting screwed if you're lucky. If she really likes you, bro, she will find a way to be in your shadow. Whether you want her there or not, she will find a way to be in your shadow. She will find a way to do stuff to show you that you're important to her. She will rearrange her whole lifestyle to make sure that you're involved in it when she really likes you. But I mean, if you've got to take her somewhere expensive so that she can give you the time of day, bro, she's not there for you. She's only there for the stuff that you're offering her. That's the only reason why she showed up. So in that scenario, bro, what you really got to do is you really got to dial it back a little bit, because if she's not trying to pay for the entertainment because there ain't enough going on, then she ain't really interested in you. So take her out on a bowling date. Bowling dates are almost $100 these days. Bowling dates ain't free. Movie dates are almost $150 these days. Movie dates ain't free. You take her for a walk on the park, women are complaining. You know, you guys can't share a soup and the breadsticks at the Olive Garden. Y'all got to get the steak and lobster and all this other stuff on the left side of the menu. Well, let these women offer to pay. And then don't just let them offer to pay. Let the women pay. And then put gas in your car at the gas station. And then you can drop them off at the house. Y'all had a good time. Until we start seeing that type of scenario, brother, you wearing your heart on the sleeve, looking for a wife, and you're flashing your money around, where the women are taking the opportunity to enjoy the first handful of dates, but they wasn't really interested in you. So when you make a pass at them, they're going to be repulsed by the fact that you made a pass at them, because they thought that no requirement for reciprocation, that they were going to go out there and have a good time with you at your expense and then go home and you don't touch them. That's what they thought they were getting out of you. And that's not how men should be treated. But until women change from their selfish behaviors, that's going to be how men are going to get treated. So as men, if we don't pay for nothing, where you want to go, I'll meet you at a museum. We can walk around and look at stuff. As long as the museum is free, because if we got to pay cover, you're paying for both of us. Because if you're not paying, we're not going nowhere. We could talk on the phone, FaceTime, Snapchat, Skype. When you feel like pulling money out of your pocket and we can go somewhere, I'll meet you at a park. push you on a swing. We can watch the sunset on the beach. That's free, you know. But I'm not going to sit here and waste my time spending money on you. Some women are going to say, oh, he's broke. He's not trying to spend money on you. $300 passport, $2,000 plane ticket, stop off somewhere in one of these three. I keep talking about the Philippines because they really, really, really take care of their men. And the fact is that you're spending a $4,000 round trip plus the $300 for the passport to get out there. And that's way more money to fly there just to meet the girl and then fly back. And you got to pay for two houses, the one in America and the one in the Philippines, so you can get you a wife that you can take back to the mainland. Versus the women changing their attitude and changing how they treat men and changing how they lack of respect men to get them to come back and say, all right, I'm going to step it up a little bit and I'm going to change the way I do things. And I'm going to see if I'm going to get me a better quality man. Because you see, I just did a show yesterday about how Michelle was putting in all this work into getting her man to be overly successful. So she became the first lady. Women don't put effort into their man like that no more. They want the finished product. They don't want the startup. They don't want the startup with the potential to be great. They want the greatness after all the work has been done. When you change your mentality and you start finding a man and putting effort into that man that's got potential and you grind with that man, build him up, that's when you start seeing your worth. Because your value as a woman is how much the man can benefit from you. The same way the man's value is based on how much the woman can benefit from the man. So if the woman is benefiting from the man, but the man's not benefiting from the woman, then that makes the woman a leech. She is a liability. It's different from for better or for worse. You was putting in and then you had a life-changing health issue and now you're not putting in no more. That's one thing. But from the gate, you're not putting in, just like the first lady that was on here talking about what she shouldn't have to do. And now she want to block the dude because the dude is telling her, be more responsible, manage your time better, put more effort into your people so that your people are taken care of, so that when you do get sick and you need to be taken care of by somebody, that they actually feel indebted to you, as opposed to them feeling like you were a burden when you was healthy. And now that you're sick, you're twice as much of a burden. You just got to really change how you do things. Let's go ahead and move on to the next comment because we got a couple more of them up here.
My husband wants a divorce because he found out I still speak to my ex from 10 plus years ago. Do you think this is called for a divorce?
Hell yeah. Philip, wouldn't you? Why the hell is you talking to your ex? Bro, tell me something. Help me out. If a female divorced this dude, that's an ex-husband, ex-boyfriend. If that is not your child's father, you ain't got no reason talking to this dude. What you rekindling y'all friendship for after y'all done got a divorce and you done married somebody new? The past is supposed to stay in the past. Like they said on Symbol. Keep your past behind you. Right? Now, another thing. The same thing I told y'all, I used this analogy quite a few times on the show before, is that once you finish bowling the frame and you strike out, bro, you're not trying to re-bowl that frame. You're moving on to the next frame. You ain't never going back. The relationships is not for mulligans. Once you get a divorce, the game is over. You done lost. So it's time for you to move on and try another round, try another game somewhere else. You got you a new husband. Your new husband is supposed to get your undivided attention. Your old husband, you are not supposed to give any attention to, because your old husband, you could this is the biggest issue, emotional cheating. You could rekindle the emotional attachment that you had with your previous husband, which could lead you to an affair. You should not start down that path by communicating with your former emotional attachment, which would then jeopardize your present relationship. Because women are physical and men are emotional. You, as a woman, are supposed to maintain your primary emotional bond with your husband. Your ex-husband has missed out on that. You are not supposed to be trying to formulate better emotional bonds with other men or women, really, that are not in your marriage. The same way that women would expect a man not to have any social interactions with the woman in public, much less establishing an emotional connection with another woman in public. You know the reason why women don't want their boyfriends and husbands to communicate with other women in public? Because women have a habit of establishing emotional connections with men, and the men don't even pay attention to it. They're completely oblivious to it. Then those emotional connections are the hooks that are being laid into the man to the magnitude where at some point in time, either the woman or the man will be caught off guard in a vulnerable situation, and then physical altercations occurs. The fact is the same reason why you don't want your husband to be talking to other females, even in a casual sense, is the same reason why you're not supposed to be talking to your ex-husband. That's why. And if you would be upset, fussing, cussing, and yelling at your boyfriend or your husband for talking to a random woman in the street, just a simple, hey, how was your day? Or can you grab that box off the top shelf for me or whatever? That simple type of conversation, you will be fussing and cussing and threatening to break up with your boyfriend. I'm going to tell you right now, I think that your man has got the right idea, because if you're not willing to be responsible about your time with your husband and keep your ex as your ex, then you're not valuing your relationship. That is probably one of the second most disrespectful things that you can do, besides just outright cheating on your husband with your ex-husband. It makes absolutely no sense. Some women are going to say, nah, that don't make no sense, bro. I'm not going to be the present man and my girl is still talking to her ex. Plain and simple. Plain and simple. We're not having that. All right, let's go ahead and move on to the next one.
What are the signs of emotional infidelity or emotional affairs? How can we determine if our spouse/partner is emotionally cheating on us? What are some preventative measures to take before the situation escalates?
All right, so the first thing you're going to want to do, I'm going to tell you this right now. You're going to want to stand on your non-negotiable expectations for behavior. Your non-negotiable expectations for behavior, you're going to be letting your partner know what you will and will not accept, what you will and will not tolerate. So early on in the relationship, just like with the first guest we had on the show, the man was telling her how he would expect her to behave. She's not willing to behave that way, so she's going to block him and bail out on the relationship. That's fine. Go. Because that is going to be a pet peeve, and down the line in the relationship, he's going to be fussing and about the fact that you're not contributing. Then you're going to be, oh, you ain't never complained about it before, as an excuse, as opposed to just accepting the fact that, yeah, he's told you from day one, this is what he expected, and you're not meeting those expectations. 2, the fact is, by you having these non-negotiable expectations for behavior, you need to stand on those principles and be willing to walk out on the situation if the situation is not going to be in your favor and they're not willing to fix it. I'm not going to say that, oh, you want to cut and run real quick. I'm saying that if they're not going to fix themselves when they recognize that there is a problem that they are causing, then you don't want to stay in this situation talking about some riding the wave and hoping that it'll work out, because it's never going to work out until your partner fixes the negative behavior that you do not want to accept. So if you're in a situation where you have a partner that is not willing to change, that's when you cut and run. The early on that you see them not respecting your expectations, the early on you want to remove them out of the situation so that you don't have the investment, whether it's the emotional investment or the financial investment in your partner, where she is not doing what she is supposed to do, and she is okay with that. Likewise, ladies, when a man first 5-10 dates, a man is telling you what he wants from a woman, what roles he's expecting her to fill. And if he is clear about this, he should be including all of the things that might piss him off in a relationship. 2 things. 1, follow those rules. 2, don't try to push his buttons and see what he's like when he's mad. You should try to make it a goal as his girlfriend or his wife to never see him mad. So if in the first 90 days of your relationship, you're trying to piss him off because he's never been angry around you, then you're not a valuable woman, because you're supposed to, from the day you meet him until the day his last breath occurs, you're supposed to be making sure that the man is at peace. That means he should never be mad in your general direction. So playing pranks on your man that'll piss him off, don't do that. If he likes playing video games, don't mess with his gaming console. If he's got a specific AI player or whatever it's going, don't delete that stuff thinking that it's cute. That's not cute. That's not funny. That's emotionally and psychologically disturbing, and you shouldn't behave that way. Another issue that we have, when you ask the question, sir, about how do you identify the emotional cheating, first things first, her behavior changes. She used to give you her undivided attention. Now she's prioritizing somebody else over you. That's the first couple signs you see with emotional cheating. Second thing that you're going to notice is that she starts getting short-tempered with you. She starts getting disgusted at your presence. She starts doing things that pushes you away so that she's got time to go and focus on somebody else. That's one of the other things. Her time. She starts rescheduling her time where she's not paying attention to what's going on with you no more. She's making time to go somewhere else and be somewhere else, whether she calls it her alone time, her spiritual journey, emotional healing, whatever excuse that she's giving you to go and live that life. She's out there trying to live that life. She's throwing it against the wall and seeing who's gonna sit on it. It's up to her to show you the value and appreciation and respect that you're not going to get from her if she doesn't have that value, appreciation, and respect for you. So you start noticing when she's not willing to do things that she normally used to do, she's already changing. And one thing you have to pay attention to is that women will fall out of love in a relationship before they walk out of the relationship, and they will change their emotional attachments while still being in a relationship, because you can have access to her body and her heartbeat with somebody else. Men are not like that. Men will try to stay exclusive to their girl. Some men will try to venture off and have more than one girl at the same time, but he's always coming back to the same girl. The girl that's riding away for your money, she'll come back for the money, but she will prioritize her time with the person that's got her heart. So really, I guess you could say that men and women do have that one thing in common, is that the person that has their heart, they will prioritize. And the person that has their interest, whether it's financial or sexual, they'll get some interest as long as they're getting the finance or the sex, but the emotional attachment, those people are going to get prioritized. So you'll see that difference. So how do you stop that in advance? As I said before, if you stand on your non-negotiable expectations for behavior, the way you expect to be treated, you're clear on that. You communicate that. When you identify that it's not happening, you remind them. And if they don't start changing, you start reminding them that the probationary period of the relationship is about to begin. And you're looking at, if you're not seeing improvement after a certain period of time, that you're gonna back out of this relationship. Because if you are not happy for an extended period of time and your partner is okay with that, that is the problem that requires you to leave. If you are unhappy, you don't say nothing, that's your fault. If you are unhappy, you say something and give your partner enough time to change on that, that's fine. If your partner is trying to change and they're struggling because they don't know what you want, because all you said was I'm unhappy, but you're not saying why, then that's also your fault. You cannot say that your partner is going to know how to fix the situation. You guys are supposed to have open communication, the level of transparency. And it's not like 100% transparency. You guys need to be a little bit more opaque. You need to be able to share enough important details between one another so that both of y'all know what's going on with one another. That's one of the key factors that you got to pay attention to. But out of the expectations of how you guys go about your day-to-day routines, when your partner starts prioritizing spending more time with somebody else, yeah, they cheating on you. Here's another one. If they're talking about somebody else all the time, there's an emotional attachment there, because people don't talk about people they don't fancy. Ain't nobody bragging about a stranger. When have you come home talking about this one person that was on the bus every day doing something spectacular? No, you start having admirations for somebody. You start looking at an emotional connection. You bragging about this person, even if this person treating you bad, bro, there's an emotional connection there. So those are some of the ways that you can. There's plenty of others, and you can stick with us during the show. Make sure that you like and subscribe, and throughout the series of the show, you'll come to find out some other ways that emotional cheating comes about. Might even do a whole show about it. Depends on how things are looking for the next couple weeks. But that's one way that you would see emotional attention not favor you. Let's move on to the next one.
Amazon accidentally sends you 2 of what you ordered. Do you have to send one back?
No. It does happen that the same order gets processed twice. Respectfully speaking, that you're supposed to send back the extra one if they're going to cover the shipping. They give you a free return shipping label because they made the mistake. Then, yeah, you can send it back. Every company has the ability to take losses. So if you mail too many of the same product to the same customer, processing orders, that's called human error. And if the customer gets it, the customer's got 2. They can sell one on Amazon, sell one on eBay, whatever. Or you can be polite and send it back to the company. You could be polite and send it back to the company at your own expense and do the company a favor. It's not like they're going to give you discounts on the product. It's just that, they're going to go ahead and thank you for sending back the extra product, which is, I guess, putting it back out into the energy as karma or whatever. But let's be real. If you wanted one and you got 2 and you could sell one back, or if you got 2 and you don't say nothing and then you just process the return and send one back, you technically got a free one. So from the perspective of a businessman, I'm going to tell you that when I make that mistake, sending a second product to the same customer, then I'm going to take that L. I'm not even going to contact the customer and be like, oh, hey, I sent you 2. Can you send me one back? Nah, take that loss and then learn from my mistake. And I'm not going to do that a second time. So uniformly speaking, if I'm a customer that I received 2 of the same product and I was planning on receiving 2 of the same product, I'm going to keep them both. Because if I was in that position, I would, uniformly speaking, I would take that L. So uniformly speaking, if I'm on the receiving end of that, they're going to take that L. If they call me and say, hey, we noticed that we sent you more than one of the same product. And since we did, if you don't send it back, we'll make you pay for the extra product. And I'm not interested in paying for the extra product. Then I'll say, yeah, send me a return shipping label. I'll send it back to you. Or without even opening the box, I'll just give it back to the company that shipped it and say, send this back to where it came from. Beyond that, I wouldn't do nothing else. But if that phone call doesn't come through, I'll go ahead and enjoy both of them. You can use one of them as a gift. We're close to Christmas time right now. It's December 8th right now. So we're close to Christmas time. If you got 2 of the same, give one to somebody who doesn't have one. All right, let's move on to the next one.
Is 5 feet 10 inches a good height for a man?
That's a double question. I'm 5'6" and a quarter. That extra 0.25% does matter. 5'6" is a good height for a man. Women aren't going to agree with that. 5'10" is a great height for a man because you can reach the stuff on the top shelf without having to scrape your skull on the ceiling of an 8-foot ceiling. There is no in a society where women want to be accepted for who they are and what they look like right now. So whether they were thin when they were younger and gained a bunch of weight, or they were heavier in their younger years and they've lost a bunch of weight, and they got stretch marks and C-sections and piercings and sagging tattoos and sagging body parts and wrinkles. They want to be accepted for who they are, right? Now, equality, uniformly speaking, men should be accepted for who they are. A man can't change his height. He can't knock his knees out and get extra long shins so that he can be taller. You know what I'm saying? He can't. There isn't a height adjuster scenario in our society. But even if they were, everybody would be the exact same height because and it's funny. Women want a tall man, an obscenely tall man, because they're like between 4'7" and 5'6". They want a man that's 6'5". It's like a whole foot taller, which is ridiculous. Men want a woman that's shorter than him, at least 3 to 6 inches shorter. So at 5'6", a 5'3", 5'4", 5-foot woman is just fine. 4'7" is just fine. 5'6" is fine. A short man is going to be okay with a taller woman because women want to be accepted for who they are. But a short man is not always going to be accepted by a tall woman. So and the fact is that the woman isn't tall because she's tall. She's tall because she's wearing stilts. So she's 5'2" with 6-inch stilettos, which makes her 5'8". And now that she's 5'8", she wants a 6'3" man. But she wouldn't be taller than you if she wasn't wearing stilts. So if she takes off the lift kit, she would be shorter than you. And if she just wants a man that's taller than her, then she could look up at the 5'6" or 5'8" man at 5'2", instead of putting on stilts, putting on this modified lift kit to make herself look like she's 5'8", so that she can be attracted to or attracted by the 6'2", 6'3" man. So truthfully, bro, yeah, 5'10" is a good height for a man. 5'6" is a good height for a man. You got to be careful at 5'6" because the children are now freaking 4'11" to 5'7". So I mean, you got to be careful who you're dating, and you got to ID everybody, because I mean, you could be dealing with some of these young females that have daddy issues, that's out there dating older men, and they're not even old enough to get into the club, but they in the club. There's no excuse for the law. So if you're in Louisiana and they come to find out that you done got you an underage female pregnant, then they're going to castrate you. It doesn't matter if she misled you. What matters is that you did the deed. So you're going to be the one that has to pay the consequences for that. And that's why I tell men, first person accountability. Probably why we shouldn't sleep with women on the first date, because we need to make sure that her identity is really her identity before we sleep with her, so that we don't have to worry about going to jail after we finish sleeping with her. Really should think about that. But you shouldn't be insecure about your height. You should always be confident about your height as men. As a man, you could be 5'2". There are some really short men like Rey Mysterio. There are some really short men that they date taller women. They have girlfriends and wives. There's no problems there. It's the woman's behavior that really makes it a problem. But again, a lot of women that are after a man for his money, if you've got enough money, she doesn't care how short you are. But typically, you might have to make an extra $25,000 to $50,000 a year for every foot of height that you're missing between 6 feet and 5 feet. So, I mean, you might have to be $125,000 a year man, $200,000 a year man in order to be able to bag certain gold digging mentality women that are looking for taller men. They'll accept you if you're short, fat, ugly, if you're making $500,000 a year. That's how Flavor Flav got so many women. But you're as an attractive man, 7, 8, attractive man. It doesn't matter what your height is. If you're attractive, if you have a good character, if she's looking for a man with a good character, your height's not going to matter. But if she's not looking for a attractive man, then that's going to be an issue. So let's go ahead and check in on, because we got a couple more of these that we're going to run through.
I did CPR on a crash victim until paramedics arrived. They said I saved her life. I am now being sued by her for breaking a rib. What do I do?
Well, bro, there's not much that you can do about that. But going forward, don't save no females, because unfortunately, that's something that's happening in Hong Kong. The men are taught the first response in their mandatory draft. They got to do 2 years in the military. So after they come out of the military, then they can go and live their civilian lives. So everybody's a veteran. in that country because it's mandatory as soon as they turn 17 or 18 years old that they go into the military, unless something happens where the military service skips a generation. But because all the young men know CPR, because that's taught to them in their first 2 years of service, they come out of the service, and if a woman passes out, the men are doing CPR and keeping the women alive, because every life matters, right? But every life matters until that life survives and that life sues you. Now, what would have happened if that life would have been lost and you would not have given them the CPR? What if you would have just stood there like you didn't know what to do to save them and just waited for the paramedics to show up? If the person would have survived, the person would have survived. If not, the person would have been dead. Instead of somebody being grateful because you saved their life and just let it be, they want to sue because they got hurt. You were dying. That means you were hurt when I got here. Whatever happens to you to keep you alive, you should appreciate the fact that you're still alive. Let me tell you something real quick. Did you know that they tell you in CPR training that if you're not breaking ribs, you're not doing it right? You have to put that much pressure on the heart in order to keep the heart pumping blood through the body, that you will have to crack 3 to 5 ribs in order to keep the body alive, especially if you're doing compressions for 5, 10, 15 minutes, 30 minutes, trying to keep this unconscious body alive until somebody can bring an oxygen system. You're not going to tell me that this person is completely dead and you are resuscitating this body for minutes, half an hour, and they are that disappointed that they're going to sue you because they didn't get to die. I'm going to be honest with you, bro. From this lawsuit forward, because depending on what state you're in, they have Good Samaritan laws that protect you from civil action when you are saving their lives and they receive an injury from you saving their lives. Some people, they could be in a burning car, and because you broke the window to get them out of the car, they sue you for the property damage. But the car was on fire, bro. If I would not have broken the window, you would have burned alive while you are still conscious. You're not okay with me breaking your car window? Do I need to get you to sign a waiver in the midst of danger in order for me to be able to come and save you? If you can't sign a waiver, I can't come save you, because the window's rolled up and the window won't open. And the only way you're going to sign this waiver for me to break the window and come and save you is if I break the window to come and save you. So now that means that I have to get you to sign the waiver after I break the window, after I break your ribs, get you to sign this waiver, waiving anything that has happened during this involvement so that I'm not going to be held liable in court. Again, we're walking around with contracts in our back pockets because if we don't, we get sued for trying to do good things for other people. And I'm just going to be honest with you guys. It makes absolutely no sense why we're being treated that way. As anybody, it doesn't matter if it's a man or a woman. If you go and save somebody else or you go and help somebody else, that person should really just appreciate the fact that their life is better because you were there, and you should be able to show that appreciation. So let's go ahead and move on to the next one.
For context, I'm a 29M living in Atlanta, Georgia. On Hinge, I have my age range set to 25 to 33. I recently got back on Hinge and have noticed a huge uptick in women using the first round is on me if prompt. The issue isn't the prompt, but rather the fact that the responses are always a slight variation of the below. First round is on me if you give me your wallet, or it's never on me, or I have your credit card. I'm not exaggerating when I say I see this used 2 to 3 times out of every 10 profiles. My question to the women, do y'all think these responses are cute/funny? Who is telling y'all to use this prompt? If you have no intentions of ever buying a first round, then I don't know, maybe pick another prompt? Let me also clarify and say that I have 0 issues with paying for dates. I always pay the bill even when a date doesn't go well. However, the way this prompt gets answered comes off as very icky and materialistic to me. We haven't even matched yet, and you're basically saying that I'm a de facto meal/drink ticket. I always immediately swipe left when I see this prompt, but I'm wondering if it's just a me issue? Are you ladies getting likes and matches directly off of this prompt?
No, they're not getting. They're getting likes based on their attractive photo. Their scantily clad outfit is the reason why they're getting the prompts. So you notice that I actually got on some of these things and I set the bar to stop at 27. To be honest with you, there might be some that are between 28 and 32 that actually still reach out because for some reason the algorithm sends me in their direction. But nah, I stop it at 27. I actually I start at the legal drinking age and I'm like, oh, so from 21 to 27, that's 7 years. We're going to see what happens there. And then anything between 28 and 30 that falls in. And actually get a little bit better of a response because they're not closed-minded, selfish, and greedy in the earlier years, which is what a lot of men come to figure. But we've also decided that, well, we didn't just decide, it's been statistically determined that a man is likely to find a better match when he finds a woman that is half his age plus 7. I was talking to you guys about that the last couple of days of this week. That's actually a very interesting algorithm because a man that's in his 40s, a half of his age is 20 plus 7 is 27. So, you know, you would definitely be making a good fit to find you a 27-year-old. But if you're pinging it 27 to 30 because you're 30, half of your age plus 7, half of your age is 15 plus 7 is 22. So maybe if you kind of move that bar a little bit lower and try to pick you up some 22 to 27-year-olds, you're going to get less of that prompt of I'll pay for the first drink if because truthfully, unless she's willing to pay for the first date, you shouldn't even be trying to talk to her anyway, because unless the date is free, because most men are willing to pay for the first date. Most men are willing to pay for the first 10 dates. But when we look at the trend, the problem that we have is that we start with the first 10 dates that we're paying for, then the commitment, then the next 10 or 20 hangouts the man is paying, then we have the taking over her financial responsibilities when she complains about not having enough money to cover certain bills or complaining about certain emergencies that we have. Then we just start making it our duty to service her vehicles and service her cars and pay for her food. And, you know, and at some point, the relationship 3-6 months in, we end up moving into the same house where the man ends up taking over all of the bills and paying for everything. And then you have a 2-year long relationship, sometimes 3-year long relationship. And then you guys get engaged where the man paid for the engagement ring. And then you have another 2 or 3 years down the line while the man is saving up for the wedding. And then the wedding occurs. And then after the wedding, you have 10, 15, 20 more years of the man paying for the woman until the man dies or gets divorced. Nowhere in there is the woman taking care of the man. Now, granted, if the man's a homeowner, she might pay half on the mortgage. You know, if the man owns a bunch of cars, she might aid out with some of the car insurance or pay for some of the car notes. The man has a bunch of phone lines for her and all the kids. She might put some money down on some of the stuff. But the fact is that her voluntary contribution happens sometime after the extended dating, after the marriage. But there's very rare that the women are like, oh yeah, I'm paying for the first 10 dates, and then if we are on the same page, then he can take over. That's one of the issues that we haven't really come to iron out, is how do we put ourselves in a position where the women are recognizing and respecting the expectations that they're putting out for the men are required to be reciprocated. So instead of saying, well, the men should always pay, or say that the person that asks should always pay, and then force the man to ask her out so that she can say, oh yeah, I would pay if I would have asked you out. But what you're going to do is you're going to put in overly revealing clothes. You're going to sit there and bat your eyelashes and poke your chest out some and toot your butt out a little bit more and try to get the guy to come over there and come and talk to you, and then oh yeah, we probably should go out sometime. You call me and set it up and we'll see where we'll go. And you're still forcing him to take you somewhere, which still forces him to pay. Ladies, you should prioritize. You think that a guy is reasonably appropriately in line with your expectations visually, you should pay for the first date. If the guy walks up and gets your number, you should take him out on a date, because you're not walking up to him to get his number. But guess what, ladies? If y'all went to the men and y'all approached the men, one, you would experience the kind of rejection that we experienced. But two, when you approach a guy that respects you and your effort for trying, they're not just going to tell you no. But truth, a man will just say no. He'll just say, nah, I'm not interested. You're not my type. He's not going to lie and say, oh, I got a girlfriend. He's not going to lie. He's not going to lie and say, oh, I got to do my hair that week or whatever. What a man is going to do, a man is going to come straight up and a man's going to tell you no. Right. But if he doesn't say no, you walk up to him and, you talk to this guy and he's going to, yeah, sure. He's going to give you his number. Then you hit him up and you set up a date. You take him out on that date. You pay for that date. Guarantee you that dude's calling you back every time. Y'all don't even have to sleep together on the first date. Guarantee you that dude's calling you back. You carry the weight of the relationship in the beginning. That's 50-50, because at some point in a relationship, the woman's got to carry the relationship in an equality relationship. She's not carrying the relationship from the first meetup till the last breath or the divorce. So if you're carrying the relationship for the first half, the man's like, well, she's got some potential because she's showing value. She's showing respect. She's showing effort. What else can she do before we start thinking about her putting out? Now, once we get to a point, she might pay for 1 or 2 dates, 3 or 4 dates, but depending on the frequency of the dates, the guy might say, hey, I'll pay this time. You pay for the first date, I'll pay for the second date. Then the girl, okay, I'll pay for the third date. Now you're starting to get somewhere. Now you're starting to reasonably end up in a type of relationship where you're not using the man for his efforts or using him for his financial status. So, bro, when you say like these females at 27 to 30 or 27 to 35, that's putting that will pay for the first date stipulation, bro, she ain't willing to buy the first date. She doesn't need one. Speaking of getting somewhere, speaking of getting what where, bro, because I could tell you, no ring on your finger. Well, that's one of the things that we talk about. Truth is that if she's not marrying him, why is he putting all this money on the table? Because like I told you before, in Dubai, the men only give allowances to their wives. No matter how many wives a man has, he's only giving money to his wives. So his girlfriends don't get squat. So from the girlfriend pay, from the first date, from the I think that you look nice scenario to the marriage, you got to come out in Dubai. You got to come out of pocket as a female. Oh, so this person wants to tell me how to get a woman. Okay, so if you're going to tell me how to get a woman, what's your prerogatives on how to get a woman? Because I'm going to tell you that men are not really trying to get women these days, because you got to understand that the older that we get, the differential from women to men, the ratio from women to men is 2 women to 1 man. After I think about 35 years old, there are 2 women to every man. So in what scenario is a man really trying to run out there and go and get a woman at his own financial expense, where he doesn't even know if he likes her, if he's interested in her to the beyond wanting to have sex with her? Where, like, think about this. You know that you've got the kind of woman that you're willing to spend the rest of your life with when you are okay with existing in her presence without having sex with her. Once you've reached that level, that's when you have committed to her. But until then, She's just one of the women that you want to sample throughout life, because men are physical and they would like to physically be attached to most women throughout their life, even if there isn't a relationship there. So answer me that. Like, how do you believe? Here goes one. Gotta be a female telling me men are so scary. Nah, no, they're not. You're the one that's going to choose the bear in the woods. I completely understand. Men are not scary. Men are reasonable, rational. You know, they're reliable. Yeah, no, we're not. Yeah, see, that's the thing. So I understand that you might be scared. What makes men scary to you? How about that? How about that? Because I can give you all the reasons why men are awesome. Just that women don't have respect for men, or appreciate them or value them in any way. And that's why women treat men like the worst thing next to garbage. And then after that, if a man tries to show their worth, that's creepy. So, you know, what makes a man creepy? What makes a man so scary to you, apparently? Y'all are going to love this response, guys. As these responses come up. Okay, so the other day, was there another place to sit? Because the other day on a train, a random man asked me to sit on his lap. And that's scary. Now, if you're on a train, there's no seat belts. If this train is about to get rocky and he asks you to come and sit down, there's nowhere else to sit. You can sit on his lap. He can keep you from falling over. You were trying to go through the aisles. There was lots of seats. Well, and you respectfully declined. I'm not seeing a creepy part. From the perspective, because see, you got to understand, first of all, the nicest thing that a man can do is always going to be perceived as creepy when a woman isn't benefiting from it and she wasn't expecting a man to do it. So it's how is it creepy? How is it creepy? I'm gonna tell you something. If I was walking down a side or a train or a bus or something like that, and a woman is like offering for me to come and sit or offering to sit on my lap, I'm probably not gonna say anything about it. But yeah, random stranger, exactly. Hold on, guys. Let's catch up with some of these comments here. She's like, "How was that nice?" I mean. So first of all, you're going to say, well, he was creepy because he might have been making the kind of advances that you didn't want him to make, that he might have been flirting with you in a way that you didn't want him, that you wasn't prepared for at the time because you wasn't interested in male attention at that time. Depends on what kind of train you're on, depends on the severities. It depends on what your condition was, because if it looked like you were going to pass out, the man could have been, because you're giving me a little bit of a scenario here, and men are protectors, and a lot of times a man will cover a woman to keep her from getting hurt, but she doesn't want a man on top of her. Like the man who got shot to death at the presidential election, kept keeping that woman from catching that bullet. Strange men do heroic things, and women only care about it when the woman is the one that doesn't die because of the man's actions. So, you know, when you say, well, you know, how was that nice? I mean, the fact is, he wasn't trying to go up your skirt or anything like that. He didn't ask you to sit on his face. He just asked you if you needed a seat and you wanted to use his lap. So, and it's a strange man. Every engagement starts off with two strangers communicating with one another. You're not always with your friends. So let's go there. Now let me go down some of these comments. She said, bro, he was a random stranger. Everyone's a random stranger before you exchange names. Maybe you want to stand there and talk to him for a minute and get to know him a little bit. So you're going to say, oh, that's not what he did. Okay, that's fine. So he told you to sit on his lap. All right. Well, you can say no if you don't want to sit on his lap. So what if a man asked you to sit on his lap? You wouldn't be put off? No, I wouldn't be put off. If a man came and asked me to sit on his lap, I would tell him no, because I am not interested. I would probably not be interested in sitting down at all anyway, because I sit down on a regular basis for work. So I'd probably stand by choice. But if I was looking for a seat, then I would not be willing to sit on another man's lap, not because it's creepy, because I would prefer for my own seat. Now, am I objective to a woman coming to sit on my lap? I have been used as a chair before because I'm a man. So no, men don't really object to women sitting on their lap, especially if there's nowhere else to sit. Oh, you calm down, Miss Meow Mix, because I can tell you that I get through to all of the appropriate responses as I go through the responses. So don't make it seem like I'm trying to evade your questions. You see, I'm going down the list of these here questions here, Miss Meow Mix. I want you to understand that as I ramble on to your answer, that I'm going to get to the response to your question when you see the question on the screen. So would I be put off? That's when I answer the question. But if he asked me something, I ain't got to your question yet. And just because he told you to sit into his lap, I haven't gotten to the question yet. So don't you be sitting over here flexing on me, Miss Ma'am, because one of the things you have to understand is that even on this podcast, I still have non-negotiable expectations for behavior that I expect you to adhere to. So while I show you the respect of answering your questions appropriately, you're going to show me the respect of giving me the time to get to your answer. Does that make sense to you, ma'am? Now, while we're back on this ramble, I just want you to understand that you don't like a man talking to you in public. That's an issue that you're going to have to adjust to. If you are a reasonably attractive woman, most men are going to try to approach you some way, shape, or form. And whether they offer you a seat or offer to be your seat doesn't change the fact that the man is in some way, shape, or form trying to make some kind of small talks, make some type of engagement with you, whether you like that type of engagement or not. That doesn't make men creepy or weird. It just means that you need to learn how to socialize with men. And then if you don't want to do whatever it is that they're talking to you about, you can just respectfully tell the guy no. That's good. You eat cat food and meowing sense. Y'all going in today. Y'all going in today. It was two of y'all yesterday. Sometimes I wonder if some of y'all don't just waste y'all time making extra email accounts so that y'all can come and troll podcasts with some ridiculous information. Because they got a lot of them, like who was that? Philip, great guy, who actually had made a lot of sense. And there was like jokers like Max, who comes in, and I love the way Max comes in and brings some humor. Sometimes his humor is a little bit too far off the cuff, but you know, at least he comes and brings in something that does do a little something every now and again for my personal entertainment while I'm observing his comments in the comment section, even though I don't bring him up onto the live. And his dad, Joe, actually a fantastic man who's come up onto the podcast a couple times, and we have had our entertainment a time or two. So I can say, in all honesty, that I do appreciate you guys when you guys do come and you guys do jump on the podcast and bring life to the podcast. But I am gonna say that there's nothing wrong with men. There's nothing wrong with men. Are not creepy. Women have psychological and emotional insecurities, and it could be something that stems from their childhood. It could be their entire life. It could be the interactions with the men that they decided were their type. And when they were looking for a man that wasn't what they needed, it was the type of man that they were interested in. And those women have had bad experiences with those women. Or those women have had those bad experiences with those men. And now those women are going to then identify the entire male gender as the product of the abuse that the woman has gone through. But truth be told, not every man is a bad man, and not every man has bad intentions for you, and not every man has the motivation and intent to harm you. So truth be told, if you are paying attention to the men that are around you, you have to pay attention to the men that you attract also with the attire that you wear. If you're dressed like the kind of person to do something inappropriate, then you're probably going to attract men that want to do appropriate things with you. If you are dressed like the kind of person that probably doesn't know what appropriate things mean, much less how to perform them, the fact is that you're less likely to attract the kind of man that's interested in appropriate things with you. So really, extra short skirts draws the attention of a man that wants to go up your skirt. Extra short skirts drives the attention of a man to have an affair in a back alleyway or even on the public bus. But a skirt all the way down to your ankles, probably not going to have that type of mentality. You know, you've got a low cut top, you know, exposing a lot of cleavage, flirting with a man, not the same as a type of woman that kind of wears a C neck collar, not the V neck, the C neck collar, the normal C neck collar, or even a turtleneck where you're not showing anything off. And that's one of the reasons why we had the Michelle Obama style conversation, because if you dress conservative, you're not really going to have the inappropriate engagements from men. But what I can tell you is that as long as you're carrying yourself in a self-disrespecting fashion, where you will pull certain people up that are going to entertain your negative outreach, you're going to feel like, oh, all men are creepy, all men are scary. No. You attract the behavior that you project. Now, while you say that all men are creepy and all men are scary, you're going to say that a man in a suit is weird, because you're not attracted to men in suits. You're attracted to bad boys. Then when you attract the bad boys and the bad boy says, sit in my lap, scary and creepy. All I can say, ma'am, is that you have to change the way you do business, because good business dictates that you carry yourself in a more respectable fashion so that you can attract more respectable people. Now, depending on the scenario, a man is going to offer to do some stuff that you wasn't expecting him to do to make sure that you're safe, because men are instinctively going to do that. Within the first 48 hours of hovering around a good man, I'm going to tell all the women this public service announcement. Within 48 hours of hovering around a good man, whether he's paying for you or not, whether you're on a date or not, within the first 48 hours of you hovering around a good man, he will keep you warm. He will keep you dry. He will try to feed you. He will keep you safe within the first 48 hours. Within the first 6 months of knowing that man, most women don't do shit. I just want to throw that out there. You don't do anything to appreciate him, respect him, or show him that you value him. So are men really the creepy one, Miss Meow Mix? I don't really think so. But the desire to get laid by women allows men to ignore the creepy behavior of women. Those red flags, like, I'm gonna be real. It's one of those things that a lot of men have to deal with, because a man can't approach a woman in public and say anything to her when she wasn't interested in talking to a man without being perceived as creepy, which actually makes men not want to make the first move. So now women are putting themselves in a position to have to make the first move, because every move that the man makes is creepy. And then you wonder why at 35 years old, no men are approaching you. Well, your behavior of teaching men that them approaching you is creepy is the reason why men don't approach you anymore. Now your opportunities are dwindling even faster, because in your 30s, you're not even, you were past your prime at 25. You were on a downhill slope at 27. You were retired at 30. So after 30, for men to still be telling you good morning, you're lucky. And the fact is that, again, when you're in your 30s, men that are in their 30s are going to be getting women that are in 22. Men that are in their 40s are going to be getting women that are 47. You in your 30s are going to have your best luck with a man that is probably in his 50s or 60s, because half of a man's age plus 7, if he's 50, half of that age is 25 plus 7 is 32. That's the man that you're going to get at 30, 32 years old, is a man that's over the age of 50 years old. Okay, well, that was said. Well, women being multifaceted, that's almost exactly correct. That beauty is short-lived for females. You're most attractive between, but really and truly, let's talk about primal real quick. The attraction of women stop at their mid 20s, late 20s, early 30s. The earliest development of attractiveness of a female is between 16 and 18 years of age. But in America, that's not the legal age. In other countries like China, Japan, where they allow 13 to 16 as consent age, the fact is that 16 to 18, 16, 17, 18 is the first signs of development in the female. But in those ages, the women are not really interested, because they don't actually reach their drive peak until they're in their 30s and 40s. Men start off overactive in their teenage years, and they reach their peak at 21, maintain that peak probably till about 30, and then they start losing interest in it as time goes on. So at 30 years old, the drive of a man in his 30s is going to be the same drive as a woman as 22. But the drive of a woman in her 35, 40-year-old age is going to be the same drive as a man that's 22. So the offsetting dynamics there. Late at 30 years old, you might want to start looking at the 20-year-old boys, because guys who get older women are high five. Guys who get younger women are frowned upon by women, but women who get an older man who can support her is high fived, which hypocritical. If it's okay for the 18 to 25-year-old to get the 45-year-old man because she's doing it, then why is it not okay for the man to get the woman at the same age? She's legally allowed to get that guy. He's legally allowed to get this girl. Why is it wrong for him to get her, but it's right for her to get him? Because she's getting the financial stability. He's getting the cooperation. So that's all I have for you guys for tonight's show. I really appreciate y'all coming to this and that. We've got a lot of shows that I'm going to start lining up tonight, because I was supposed to be lining them up last night, but we had some issues with the internet. So I'm going to try to line things up for y'all. I got a couple things I got to do before I start getting the lineup together, but I'm going to get at least 3 or 4 more shows lined up for the rest of the week, so you guys know what we're dealing with. Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday are going to get filled in. Actually, Monday's already filled in, because we're going to be talking about who and what is fintech, and then Tuesday and Wednesday are going to get filled in, and we're going to bring up the rest of the week so that we have all of this coming 7 days up on the calendar. So make sure that you guys stay tuned and follow us and see what we got going for the rest of the week, because it's different topics all of the time. Also, make sure that you guys like and subscribe. Make sure that you donate to the platform. Show us some love as often as possible. We really appreciate you guys for doing so. And then, as we get our new slot in for when we're going to start airing on the show, because we got a balance between the random contracts that start at 1 a.m. Eastern time versus when we're going to air the show, because we want to run a 1 to 2 hour podcast, but we want to have a 2 to 3 hour space in there so that we can stop the podcast and get into fulfilling some of our vendor contracts. So branded content promotions. So we want to get everything ironed out. And as we get those ironed out, just know that we're going to be fluctuating on our time size. But you guys on Twitch, you're going to see the official time change on the Twitch channel, where we're going to have our daily shows probably start an hour later than what it used to start, because it used to start at 9 Eastern, 8 Central, 5 Pacific. It's going to start as at least 10 Eastern, 9 Central, 6 Pacific. And that way, depending on what's going on, we may start between 10 and 11, or we will start off at 10, around about 10, because it looks like later in the night we have less issues with the internet interference. So we didn't have as many drop frames today. So as we start seeing that improvement, we're going to be trying to work around making sure that we give you a podcast where we don't have drop frames, we don't have the freezing, we don't have the disconnects in the internet that we would have had if we were doing a show earlier in the night. And that also gives you guys enough time to come and catch us all over the world, because I know that it is early morning in some countries like Romania and Brazil, and it is late night in other countries like Canada and United States and South Africa. So we want you guys to enjoy yourselves on the podcast. We're going to try to find a good time for everybody. But remember, we are live 7 nights a week. One way or another, we're going to go live. And if you missed the show, if you subscribe to the channel, you can go back and rewatch the show that aired for the day, because we do give you something close to a full hour. So if you see a 10 or 15 minute show up there, just hang out. Another one's going to come up because we had some issues with the first show. But most of the time, like you see this 1 hour, 35 minutes long. If you missed the beginning of this show, you go back and watch it from the beginning and you can see what you missed for the day. You can also go back and see some of the ones that you missed earlier this week. To bide your time, if you like the podcast, we've got a playlist that does a run through of most of the stuff that's on the show. Probably going to reorganize the playlist. That way we have all of the full-length shows on the podcast, and then all of the shorts and stuff on a playlist. We're going to figure these things out as we mend the platform. You'll start seeing a lot more organization, and just remember, as things progress, we're all going to progress together. So with that being said, on my way out the door, I tell you, ladies, all on a regular basis, that as long as the situation doesn't make sense, ladies, please, I'm going to keep asking y'all to make it make sense. So ladies, make it make sense. And fellas, I really appreciate y'all coming to This and That, where we talk about this, that, and everything in between. I'm your host, Xander, and I'm going to see y'all tomorrow night.